Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. The single most common factor in accidents off the highway is speed. I believe the second one is aggressive driving. That person from our first story, words fail me for a better description, needs to have a sit-down in an emergency room dealing with car crash victims. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. You want to speed through a school zone? I'll give you enough rope to hang yourself. There's an elementary school in my neighborhood on a street that's normally 35 miles per hour, but twice a day it slows to 20 miles per hour. There are tons of flashing lights and signs everywhere. It's nearly impossible not to notice that this is a school zone. The zone lasts about 10 blocks. In the past 3 years, 3 kids have died in separate incidents as a result of speeding vehicles in this school zone. There are little memorials along the side of the road like a small graveyard. This zone is also routinely patrolled by cops. About 3 days out of the 5 days of the week that the school zone lights are flashing, you'll find cops parked on a particular side street clocking drivers. Last week, some lady came speeding up on me in this school zone while the lights were flashing. There was a van in the lane next to me. It was partially alongside my vehicle, but slightly ahead of me, so she whipped into that lane and pulled up on his butt. Her front bumper was just to the left of my window, and as such, I could easily see that his rear bumper was less than a foot in front of her front bumper. She was stupidly close, even for 20 miles per hour. She began gesticulating and visibly screaming and probably spraying spittle on her dash. She obviously felt that it was an extreme inconvenience to her that we weren't speeding. I kept my speed steady to match the van next to me, just because I have no patience for people this way and was not inclined to reward her by letting her pass. The longer this went on, the more enraged she became. I was bent on keeping her from passing at this point, just out of spite, but when we were about 3 blocks from the side street where the cops hide out, I changed my mind. I dropped my speed and let her gain on me. By this point, she was so enraged that as soon as she thought she was clear of my front bumper, she swerved over into my lane with no signal, cutting me off, and hit the gas in a show of victory. She was accelerating so rapidly that she was probably doing at least 45 miles per hour when she passed the motorcycle cops. You could tell exactly when she noticed them because she hit the brakes so hard that her car visibly swerved. I tried not to smile too smugly as I watched her getting pulled over. Good luck getting to work on time now, lady. Oh yeah, and a ticket for going double the posted speed in a school zone with mandatory doubled fines. Good thing you can afford a Lexus. You know the sad part, she probably feels she was justified for this behavior. Screw the kids, it's all about me, in a way. And our second story. I literally did nothing. Lady called the cops on me. So I work at a video game store. A few years back, I go in for an opening shift early to set up a sale. My coworkers forgot to set it up the night before and only realized it when they both left. Because of the sale, it gets pretty busy. Not the busiest of days, but pretty high up there. Nearing the end of my shift, I'm stressed from customers misunderstanding things and getting mad about it, and I'm glad to just be able to go home soon. Unluckily for me, old crone comes in and just has to have her way. I forgot exactly what she first complained about. It might have been that a large pair of boxers was more expensive than a small pair. They're the same item, so they should cost the same. These issues kind of blend together after so many years, so I'm not certain if it was that. But I do know there were at least 2 other issues that she argued about with me. I did the best I could and finally rang her out and was able to clock out. As I'm leaving the store, she's ahead of me. She's parked next to my car, a little too closely actually. She must have gotten out of the passenger side because there's no way a human could fit through the gap between her driver's door and my passenger door. She sees me behind her and reckons that my car is the one she's next to and expectedly waits for me to go to my car. I reason that she didn't want to back out for fear of hitting my car. Whatever. I checked to make sure she didn't hit my car on the way in, and luckily there's no damage. I get in my car and turn the key. Nothing. I see that I'd left my lights on and the battery's dead. Whoa, really annoyed now. I call my dad and ask if he can come give me a jump. As I'm making the call, the lady, still at the back of her car, yells out, "Hello, are you going to leave? I need to get out." Now, I believe that respect must be earned. She earned crap for respect for the way she treated me at the store. At this point in time, she was no longer a customer, simply another person out in the world. I usually deal with these situations by simply ignoring them, doubly so because of the long day I just had, made no better by her. I thought about simply telling her that my battery was dead and I literally couldn't move, but she didn't even deserve that. After one glance in her direction, I just ignored her completely. Finished the phone call and tried learning some French on my phone, Duolingo app if you're curious. Couple of minutes later, she says, "If you don't move, I'm calling the police on you for blocking me in." Now, I could have said something, but I didn't. I stuck to my rule of ignoring crazy. She made the call. "I'm here at the mall and someone's blocking my car in and I can't get out." I chuckle and realize she's going to feel like an idiot when they arrive. About 10 minutes later, the cops show up and start talking to her. At this point, my dad's arrived and I've directed him to the parking space in front of mine. Cop comes up to me and says, "What's going on here?" "Nothing, officer. My car has a dead battery and I'm just getting a jump from my dad. Looks like that lady parked a little too close to me and was afraid of backing out." "I see. Thank you. Carry on." He goes back to the lady as my dad and I start juicing up my car as I give him a quick rundown of the sitch, and he laughs. The cop told the lady that I wasn't doing anything wrong and that she, in fact, was the one in the wrong by parking too close to me. She complained like a child and stomped her feet. My car was ready now, so I looked over to the cops and said, "Good day, officers," and they waved back, just in case they wanted me to stay or something, and I got in and left. Good thing you ignored her. She's the type that wants to start trouble with people for any reason whatsoever. And our last story. Karen calls the cops on us for parking in front of our own driveway, among other things. My neighbor is a Karen. She complains about every little thing my family or other families on the block do. But God forbid you complain about her. For context, she's my next door neighbor on a block where the houses are connected in twos. Our two houses are not. In fact, they are separated by side yards and driveways. Here are some of the things she's complained about or actually called the cops about. Leaving trash in front of our property the night before trash pickup, twice. The first time a raccoon had gotten into it and tore apart one of the bags, leaving a little mess, but nothing was even close to her property. The second time it was put out way earlier in the day because we got the pickup day wrong due to a recent holiday, but it was literally picked up the next morning. We got a summons because of this. Parking in front of my own driveway. We had guests over for a birthday last weekend and there was no parking on our streets or in our driveway. It allows for 2 cars, so I blocked my own driveway, making sure I wasn't too close to hers. She wasn't even using it and went inside. Later, my aunts tell me that they couldn't park because Karen was taking up 2 spaces on the street. They're not painted spaces, but everybody knows that you can fit 3 cars in front of her and other neighbors' house, but she took 2 of those spaces for her Subaru, which she does a lot despite the complaints of literally every other neighbor on the block. Anyway, the cop comes and apologizes profusely for interrupting the party, but Karen's complaining about us and it's not illegal, but can you please move the car? And everybody just points out how Karen is parked. He said he'd deal with it, and I walked to find her arguing with the cop that she has every right to take up 2 spots so that her car wouldn't get hit or scratched. Nobody ever even touches her car because the spaces are big enough that we don't need to. But she moves her car so that I can park. She glares at me the whole time, though. I gave her the finger, and she tattled on me, but the cop didn't hear her or didn't care and walked away. She has physically dragged me from the house by my arm to show me the scratch that somebody left on her car, claiming that either I or my mom was the culprit. My car was green, my mom's car's blue. The scratch was very clearly red. I told her we didn't hit her car, but she insisted and was screaming and causing a scene. Finally, I called her crazy and walked away. She screeched, but I never got a call about it. Neither did my mom. We used to have family barbecues at my grandpa's house when he was still alive. He had a 3-family that he built back in the 70s with a big wraparound yard and a fire pit. Every celebration during the spring, summer, and early fall took place in that yard. She moved here toward the end of his life, but she never failed to call the cops if the music got too loud or the smell from the barbecue was bothering her, even though she was told time and time again that nothing we ever did was illegal. Meanwhile, she likes to drink in front of her house and watch the neighborhood. She's wandered to my grandpa's house a few times, complaining about the music while drunk, and my mom and aunts always offered her some food to bring home. You never drink on an empty stomach, and more often than not, she was too happy to take it. To her credit, Karen always said thank you. That's all I can think of at the moment, but Karen's been living next door for going on 15 years, and she has constantly proven herself to be a thorn in our side. She's always calling the cops on us to the point where they rarely show up now because they're also sick of her BS. She continues to take up 2 spaces despite the cop warning her not to. It's not illegal, but he was very much trying to help us and our other neighbors out, considering it's such a packed block, and threatens lawsuits when she finds any kind of scratch on her car. My parents ignore her at this point because we're all moving away soon enough. Oh, one more thing. When she first moved here, she did a lot of work to the house she's living in, which includes erecting a wall between our driveways, which makes it difficult for anybody parking on the left-hand most spot to open their door without damage to it. We've asked her to take it down, but have had no luck. That wall caused a lot more damage to 3 cars than any scratches she's gotten on her own. I can't wait to move and never see this lady again. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.